think we might have a guest next week. Do we want to talk about that?
Well,
if it's only might, then maybe not. I don't know.
Well, but I mean, the thing is okay. Well, we don't have to mention him, but it is an issue that we're going to have to address because we want to start having conversations with people. That
true.
So,
because he did give a signal boost to the mission statement, and well, he has cringe takes and he has base takes. There's nuance to him.
Well, just generally, I want to, if you're cool with us individually, our channels and whatnot, and then generally, we're not going to bring on people that might have some harmful, potentially toxic takes or whatever. With the initiative, I think we have to kind of reach outside that a little bit, and in order to reach more people. We can't just insulate ourselves to people who literally only agree with us on everything, or even 75% of things or whatever. But like, I guess you just have to trust us that we're, the three of us and the others involved in the initiative are gonna keep each other in check, and not like if one of us wants to bring on, the clone of Hitler or something, then the other ones are gonna be like, no, dude, you can't bring on the clone of Hitler. Like, oh, okay, so just generally trust that. But yeah, we might have a conversation with people that I don't know. Did we want to mention them or not? Did we decide?
No, I mean, we will mention them. I'm just looking for, because there's a
so Vito.
Anyways, the second video up was Vito's Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania Stinks movie review. Alright, let's check this guy out. Okay, so this will have spoilers for Quantumania, apparently. I'm trying to think, what big spoilers are there in that movie? I guess just general spoilers, but I can't think of anything big that would, like, shake up the MCU. But yeah, general spoilers. I mean, he calls himself an idiot, so hey, cool.
What's up, buddy? How you doing? Are you all excited for Phase 5 of the Marvel Universe? Well, if you are, I've got bad news for you. Because it is off to a rocky start. As we can see here on Rotten Tomatoes, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, the first installment in Phase 5 of the Marvel experience, currently has a 58% Rotten Tomatoes score. The critics did not love this movie, and guys, I'm one of those critics. I don't know how I did it. Somehow I managed to sneak into Ant-Man without Disney knowing, because Disney doesn't want me to go to their movies. But I snuck in, I got my...
You snuck in? Does that mean you bought a ticket and went to a movie theater? Like, I don't see, like, Disney being like, no, you can't buy a ticket and go to the movie theater. I don't see that, so I don't know what the fuck you're saying.
Bag of popcorn, I got my big dumb drink, and I sat and I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. And here's how I felt. It's interesting, because as I was watching the movie, I was fairly optimistic. I was like, this is pretty funny. It's got some good jokes. It's got some solid action, good CG. I like the whole idea of the quantum realm, this microscopic world beneath worlds, and I think they actually did some very good jobs with the visuals there, making it look interesting and unique. But ultimately, I came out of the movie, and I felt hollow inside. I felt empty. I felt like I had just watched, like, a really just bare-bones kind of kids movie. Which again, if you're a kid, it's going to be entertaining and fun and exciting, but there was no weight to it. There's no emotional weight. There's no, human drama, anything like that. It was just kind of like, let's go on an adventure to the quantum realm. Ooh, they're going to be in trouble. Oh, but now they're okay. It felt very simplistic. And I think the problem Marvel...
I mean, so far, I don't have a huge complaint. Like I said, I enjoyed the movie, but, like, I can get a negative review. But, like, yeah, I guess we'll get into the specifics of what he says. So, because overall, it's like, okay. Like, I agree, but, like, I enjoyed it, you didn't. Okay.
Is running into is that they're trying to do two things. They're trying to keep making these PG-13 movies, which are friendly for kids and families, but they also then...
I didn't, like, Wallace and Gromit fan, I didn't really get much emotion from it. Although, I did like the It's Never Too Late to Not Be a Dick. That's probably the most emotion I got from the movie from MODOK. Which was kind of funny. I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, that was actually kind of nice in this weird way. But yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun movie, though.
And they want to get the adult crowd, and they want to introduce darker themes, or, more...
And Gabriel, yeah, I liked the movie overall. I thought Kang was definitely a highlight. But, like, I also thought Janet was really awesome in it.
Or weighty human elements. And sometimes I feel like they don't find the right mix. And Ant-Man, ultimately, I have to say, was probably the wrong character to kick off Phase 5. This is supposed to be the new dark chapter. We're meeting Kang the Conqueror.
Who said it's going to be the new dark chapter? I missed that. Did somebody say this is a dark movie? I never, like, he's saying it's supposed to be something. It's like, who said it's supposed to be that? It's an Ant-Man movie. Ant-Man movies have always been a bit lighter.
Conqueror, this new villain, who has his shadow looming over the entire Marvel universe, kicking it off with Ant-Man, who's just like, I'm goofy and fun and blah, nothing bothers me, was probably the wrong way to get us into I don't fear Kang.
Now, Kang was fairly established to be a fairly powerful villain, even though, like, Ant-Man is a goofier franchise, Kang was still able to be fairly imposing menace on him.
After seeing him in the Ant-Man movie, I go, well...
Yeah, no, I don't recall anybody, like, saying this is going to be a dark phase. I assume, like, when we get to the Avengers movies at the end of Phase 6, yeah, we'll get to darker stuff. I'm also assuming Thunderbolts will be a bit darker, just based on the tone of that comic book. But, like, yeah, I don't expect Ant-Man 3 to be, like, a super dark movie in general.
If he's Ant-Man's villain, who cares? They really didn't sell it. That's one interesting thing from the critics, that they're all saying they loved Jonathan Majors as Kang. I thought he fell flat. I mean, he's a great actor, and I liked his performance, but I'm not being sold on Kang as a villain.
He's a great actor, and you liked his performance, but you didn't like him in the movie. What? I'm really confused by that statement. Like, if he was a good actor and he sold the performance to you, what is your complaint? That's literally his job.
We're going to talk about all of this real quick. Hit that subscribe button, and let's try to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. I will do my best to avoid spoilers, but we are going to cover kind of the basic plot and what's going on. So the basic plot is, this is after Endgame, the big fight with Thanos, and Paul Rudd, a.k.a. Scott Lang, Ant-Man, whatever you want to call him, he is a minor celebrity. I don't know exactly how big a celebrity he is, but he's got a book out. He's doing book signings. We see a lot of kids in Ant-Man costumes come to his signing. So it seems like he's kind of just become like a friendly, neighbor, or friendly, heroic guy doing the talk show circuit or whatever. And he's happy with that. He's not running around risking his life. And that's actually something his daughter, Cassie, chides him for, essentially saying, Dad, you were an Avenger. You saved the world. Now you just sit around and promote your stupid book. You should be out there helping people. I had to say to Cassie, I'm like, listen, man, he did save the whole world. I think he has the right to sit around and chill his book for a little bit of time. He put his life on the line, traveling through time and whatever else. I don't think he's always got to be out there saving the world. But she's kind of a, little liberal hippie activist now. She talks about going to the park and, stopping the cops from shutting down homeless encampments. And it turns out that her grandfather, Hank Pym, the original Ant-Man, and of course, Hope, her, what would you call her, kind of stepmother type, have actually assisted in giving her own Ant-Man suit, learning how to control it, learning how to control the powers. And a lot of the movie is really focused.
I hate when they just start doing point-by-point plot synopsis. It's like, yeah, I saw the movie. Thank you.
On Cassie, I kind of feel like Marvel's maybe trying to set her up to be her own hero, maybe.
Yeah, because I believe her name is Stature from the books. But yeah, she's another hero like Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah, appear in some sort of spin-off thing somewhere. Unfortunately, this trailer does not show Cassie very much, which is weird because she was actually a big part of the movie.
Well, I mean, Scott was the main character, but, yeah, Cassie was in there a bit.
Now, okay, so everybody's living their best life. Scott has the book deal. What do you call it? Hope is running the company, Pym Enterprises or whatever it is, and they're using miniaturization technology to save the world. And in the midst of all this, they are experimenting with this quantum... What do they call it? They call it like a compass, where they're using it to map.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, Stature would probably be a member of the Young Avengers, and they've set up a lot of the Young Avengers. We got Stature, we got Miss Marvel, America Chavez, Kate Bishop. We don't have Miles Morales yet. Yeah, they're setting up a nice amount of them.
Map out the quantum realm. They're sending signals down, I assume pinging it off of things, and then using that to map out the quantum realm. Now, what's her name?
Well, Wiccan and Speed were introduced in WandaVision, but, they aren't around. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do with them. Because, yeah, we see them briefly, but, it's like a spell, and then then we have the alternate reality versions, maybe. Of course, we're talking about jumping around to different multiverses. So yeah, potentially, yes. I saw your comment, and I've talked myself around to saying yes.
Janet, the original Wasp, who lived in the quantum realm for 30 years, was trapped down there, basically tells them, shut that dang thing off right now. You've probably seen it in the trailers. Let's see if we can take a look real quick. Where she goes, what do you mean you're sending a signal down there? That means they know. There's Cassie getting pulled in, and everybody gets pulled into the quantum realm. So this is actually probably the most interesting part of the story, is talking about Janet's entire backstory. So what we find out, and I'll try to avoid spoilers as much as possible, is...
Yes, Whitney, you do.
essentially that Kang is overlord down there. He is currently like the emperor of the quantum realm. And Janet, for 30 years...
this is kind of driving me nuts. He just is talking about plot points of the movie, and it's like, get to the fucking point, bro. It's a movie review, not a plot synopsis. This drives me nuts. You review the movie. Don't give me a point-by-point synopsis. Give me your ideas of where the movie failed and where it succeeded. I understand doing, a basic run-through of maybe some setup stuff. But, oh, God.
Basically worked with resistance fighters to try and take him down and destroy his power and whatever else. And ultimately, she failed and almost kind of abandoned...
Oh, Wallace and Gromit fan, you think he's trying to be the next Nerdrotic? Maybe. He needs to put a lot more work into it, because Nerdrotic, he is cringe as fuck, but he puts a decent amount of work, at least editing his videos. That is not what he's doing here, but yeah.
Her former comrades, when they pulled her out, she was like, you know what?
The point-by-point plot synopsis would definitely be Nerdrotic's thing. Oh, God, fuck.
I don't even want to think about the quantum realm ever again. And it's kind of...
Blackwing Gaming, yes. Chris Stuckman is pretty good at movie reviews. There's movie reviewers out there that I think are fairly solid. Dan Morell's pretty good. I don't watch a whole lot of movie reviewers, but there's the ones I used to watch. Chris Stuckman was good.
Interesting that she has that kind of guilt of, this is partially my fault. We learned she has a backstory with Kang. I won't delve into it because, again, spoilers. But it's her coming back to a place that she's been.
So you're doing a point-by-point plot synopsis, but you don't want to do spoilers? God damn it.
The other two, they get split into two groups. It's Ant-Man and his daughter in one group, and then it is Janet Van Dyne, Hope, and Hank Pym on another group. And as she's leading them around, they're like, what the hell is this? Why do you know what this is? And at first she's very reluctant to tell them, but slowly the story comes out of how she knew Kang.
Yeah, no, I don't always agree with Chris Tuckman either. But he actually fucking reviews the movie, which is goddamn refreshing in this climate of YouTube.
Their relationship and what a horrible interdimensional threat Kang the Conqueror is. So,
yeah, like, notice how often Chris Tuckman does a point-by-point plot synopsis? Oh, yeah, that's right, he doesn't, because that's not reviewing the goddamn movie. I guess he might do it for, like, a spoiler review, but a spoiler review is almost like a separate thing. I almost feel like putting spoiler in review gets a little bit wonky, because then you're just doing a movie discussion, pretty much.
I mean, the ultimate goal is for them to get back to their world. Unfortunately, Kang himself is also trying to get back to their world, and he wants to use Scott Lang to help repair his It's a convoluted thing where he needs their...
Oh my god, something convoluted in the MCU? My god, that's shocking. I've never heard of such a thing.
miniaturization technology to fix his ship and escape from the quantum realm. That's your basic story. I don't want to get too deep into any of it. I don't want there to be any spoilers, but basically everybody's trying to get out of the quantum realm. So, what do we think about this? Well, I'll tell you, it's fun. It's fun to watch them running around. They're meeting the denizens of the quantum realm, who are a bunch of weirdo aliens.
So he says it stinks, but now he's saying it's fun, which is essentially my impression of the movie. Like, I didn't think there was anything deep to this movie, but I thought it was fun.
Telepaths and whatever else. Again, we can see there's great set design, great world building, all of...
Well, that was almost certainly CGI, but yeah. I mean, there are some creative visuals in the movie, for sure.
That. The problem is that there is no real interesting conflict whatsoever.
You mean besides Kang trying to break out so he can conquer the multiverse? Seemed like kind of an issue to me.
The only conflict that kind of arises is this deal between Kang and Scott, where he goes, if you want me, he imprisons him and his daughter, and he says, if you want your daughter to live, go get this thing for me to repair my ship. And Scott, obviously agrees, because he's the ultimate family man. It's his only defining character trait is that he'll do anything for his family. But
only defining character trait? Let's see. He's a burglar. He's kind of a goofball. And he cares for his family. He's got lots of character traits. God, you're really bad at this, bro. Yes, and yeah, fun fact, when somebody has your child and says, I will kill them unless you help me, you have a tendency to kind of listen to that person.
But there's no real conflict there. I'm trying to think of...
He doesn't want to help Kang, but he's forced to say, that is a conflict. You literally just defined the conflict and then said there isn't a conflict. Holy shit.
Conflict ever arises. There's no point at which Scott's resolve is challenged, It would be one thing if it was him wrestling with, maybe I would sacrifice my daughter, because the idea is if Kang escapes from the quantum realm, he will end countless worlds and trillions will die. Well, that's interesting. Maybe are you willing to sacrifice your daughter to save trillions of people? Is there a compromise there? But the movie doesn't really get into any of that. It's just kind of, Scott's, a good guy. He's the ultimate good guy. He never wrestles with any tough decisions.
Well, I mean, for the most part, during this part, Scott doesn't even know what the stakes are, which is part of the problem. He doesn't know what the stakes are until Hope gets a hold of him later while he's getting to it. Right now, from Scott's perspective in this moment, the stakes are, if I don't do this thing, he's going to kill Cassie. So yeah, he's going to do this thing.
He just always does what the correct thing is in any possible situation. And the movie even goes so far as to say, oh, the reason I can do this is because I love my daughter so much. It's cheesy. Again, it's like a very cheesy kids movie. And it's disappointing because the world concept and everything else is so interesting. I actually loved Hank Pym showing off, like finally showing off the power of ants and getting back to his old heroic ways. Like, he really gets to shine in this movie, which was fantastic. Both him and Janet were like fantastic characters. In a way, I kind of wish Ant-Man had like stayed behind in the real world and it had focused on the original Ant-Man, because I found, you know, their story far more interesting. That she was gone for 30 years. He hasn't been a hero for you know, in that amount of time either. That he
I mean, maybe, but yeah, it's definitely going to be about Scott. And Janet is probably the second most prominent character in the movie, so we get a fair bit of Janet as well.
He comes back to, you know, learning how to fight again or whatever. All of that was way more interesting than Scott saving his daughter, because obviously that's what he's going to do. The movie was...
Like what? Do you want him to let his daughter die? Like, this is a weird argument. Like, the whole point is, like, with Janet, Hope, and Hank, they're off, and we're learning about Janet's time in the quantum realm. And we are also learning about her time in the quantum realm, but we're also learning about Kang and who he is and what he really wants. Scott and Cassie, on the other hand, just encounter Kang, and they fairly quickly figure out that he's pretty bad news, but they don't know, like, the actual stakes. The whole point is, as the audience, we are learning the stakes as Scott and Cassie are getting kind of entangled in this, and, you know, we have more information than they do at that moment. So really the conflict is more kind of an audience perspective thing. And, you know, we're watching Scott do this stuff and we're like, maybe don't. But, like, that's the point. Scott doesn't have all the information yet. And once he starts learning the information, then things get a bit more dicey.
It's just too obvious. They also meet, like, a resistance group. And this is another problem I'm having with Marvel movies, is we're 3 Ant-Man movies deep. So there's really nothing left. There's nothing left to do with Scott's character arc unless you're going to do something drastic. Unless you're going to suddenly have him turn evil or, you know, make a bad decision or whatever else. But he's had 2 movies to do that already, and he hasn't done it already. So it's predictable. We know Ant-Man's a good guy. He's always going to do the right thing. So what I want these Marvel movies to do, because that's the same for other movies as well. I mean, is Thor going to, you know, catch us off guard? We know these characters too deeply now. Why are they not introducing secondary characters and kind of focusing the plot around them?
Well, like I said, Janet was a big part of the plot, and like literally they introduced this version of Kang in this movie and as the main villain. This is such weird complaints, man. It's like complaining that heroes do hero things. Yes, they're heroes. Fuck.
I mean, you had Cassie, who I guess was supposed to be this movie's new character, who, you know, she's a wild card, who knows what she's going to do, but she's just like her dad. She just does the right thing at any point.
Yes, because she's a hero. Oh, God. Like, what the fuck are you asking for, man? Are you asking for Cassie to start killing people? The fuck, man?
Point, she helps the resistance fighters. There was really no conflict in this movie whatsoever. Now, I guess the big hook for this movie...
Except Kang trying to conquer the multiverse, but I guess it's not a big deal. That doesn't... Fuck it.
...is introducing Kang. I mean, we've seen him in Loki already, but this was supposed to be the movie that really kind of digs into his backstory.
Well, yeah, the Loki, we saw a variant of Kang who wasn't really Kang. That wasn't a Kang the Conqueror. That was just kind of a variant, but he's not Kang in that show. This is the first time where we see a variant that is absolutely Kang.
Who he is, what he wants, and I want to say they kind of failed. I didn't get anything out of this. I can't spoil it, but ultimately everything you learn about Kang is kind of retconned anyway. I won't get into the specifics there.
Well, what we learn about Kang is that he's a bit more of a threat than we realized. I mean, he talks about casually killing Avengers. And he's definitely a threat that they realize fairly quickly they're going to have to deal with. They can't let him escape the quantum realm.
I don't want to spoil it, but ultimately, I don't find...
Yes, Whitney, exactly. The variant of Kang is pretty mellow compared to actual Kang. Yeah, exactly. Like, I think even in the Loki series, he talked about, oh, I'm the nice one. And he's not particularly nice there, but, like, yeah, he's nicer than this one.
I find him that interesting. Thanos was an interesting villain because he was ruthless, we saw his power, and we knew his ideology.
Yes, and Kang wasn't ruthless. He was just a chill and mellow guy. What movie did you watch, man?
And his ideology was, a lot of people say it's silly, I want to split the world in half, whatever else. But at least there was something there that you
kill half the universe, split the world in half. What?
Understood. Okay, he's a weird, tormented moron. He wants to set the world straight, and he thinks the best way to do that is to kill a bunch of people. At least I kind of understand what he's trying to do. Kang, I'll say he keeps going on and on about timelines and fixing timelines, and there's too many timelines. But at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, well, so what does he want? Tell me more about this guy. All he does is brood and look sad.
No, we got a lot more variants to look forward to, dude.
He's kind of a character. He seems tormented about something, but we're not getting any specifics about this guy. And ultimately, I don't find him intimidating. There is a scene where
I thought he was fairly menacing, and I think it's weird. Like, you say, hey, Jonathan Majors turned in a good performance, but this didn't work. It's like, that's literally his job to turn in a good performance. And he did. He did a very good performance. I thought he was a very solid villain. You could argue maybe he could have been written a bit better, and, I think there could be arguments to that. But, like, as far as Jonathan Majors and overall Kang, I thought it was solid. I'm interested to see more Kang stories.
You get to see, okay, when he has powers, he can, zap people into dust, and, he's a very powerful fighter. But, and this is a spoiler, but I have to...
Yeah, Blackwing, I'm not sure what his argument is. It's like, yeah, it seems like what they're doing is just, we're like, this is the first time we're actually seeing a full-fledged Kang, and they set up very clearly in the post and mid-credit scene that, yeah, we're getting a lot more Kang. We're probably going to get a couple more movies where he's the villain before we end up with a full-fledged Avengers issue.
Say it. Ant-Man, when he doesn't have his powers and his super suit is, like, out of juice, Ant-Man is basically able to go toe-to-toe with him. So I go, well, what's the hook of this guy? He's just a guy who has powers if he has access to his suit and his magic?
I believe so, yes. If memory is... I'm trying to remember, does Kang actually have any superpowers? I think it's mostly tech and magic based. I don't recall if he has any actual superpowers.
I'm not intimidated by him, and he's also not ruthless enough.
I'm gonna look that up. Let's see. Kang the Conqueror, Nathaniel Richards... Seems familiar. I don't think he has powers. Okay, powers and abilities. Kang has no superhuman abilities, but is an extraordinary genius, an expert historical scholar, a master physicist specializing in time travel, engineer and technician. He is armed with 40th century technology, wearing highly advanced battle armor that enhances his strength, is capable of energy, hologram, and force field projection, has a 30-day supply of air and food, and is capable of controlling other forms of technology. Courtesy of his time ship, Kang has access to technology from any century, and he once claimed his ship alone could destroy the moon. As Rama Tut, he used an ultra-diode ray gun that was able to sap the wills of human beings at a high frequency. It is able to weaken superhuman beings and prevent the use of their superpowers. They can be freed of its effects if the gun is fired at them a second time. That sounds like standard superhero stuff. But yeah, he doesn't have superpowers. He's just a really smart guy with, like, crazy suit stuff. That's it. That is all there is to him, as far as powers. I think it's something similar with Doctor Doom, too. So, like, yeah, it doesn't mean they're not a menacing villain.
If you really showed this guy ending worlds and killing trillions, but they kind of gloss over it, like they were afraid.
Yeah, it's like they want to build up to that. Like they don't want to just show it immediately.
Afraid to show what he's capable of. This movie does have...
Yeah, because this is literally his first appearance.
Have a mid-credit scene.
Well, I guess... That's the thing, like, I guess literally his first appearance is Loki, but, like, we're all dealing with variants. Like, the next Kang we get is going to be another variant.
Which elaborates further on what to expect from Kang in future movies. But I'll say this, I thought it looked stupid as hell. I don't know who was excited by that mid-credit scene. It's like, oh, look at Kang, he's so powerful, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, This just looks dumb. I feel like they dropped the ball. I'm not afraid of this guy. He looks like an idiot. And they need to raise the stakes. That's the other thing. If you want me to fear Kang, you have to show him doing something. Have him kill somebody. Honestly, and I know that maybe this will sound crazy, I would have killed Ant-Man in this movie. That's a spoiler that they don't kill Ant-Man. Obviously, Ant-Man survives. But can you imagine if Ant-Man 3 had ended with Kang just killing Ant-Man? Or, I don't know, taking him captive or something. They needed to do something like drastic to say Kang is a threat, and they didn't do that.
I don't like, they're literally just setting up Kang. Like, I actually suspect he probably will kill somebody down the road, but like, this is just set up.
They also need, and this was something I was talking about on Twitter.
I know, this is a bit much. We're almost in. We got 4 minutes left, but yeah, no, his review's bad.
They need to establish a primary rival for Kang. I would say that in the original Avengers, movies, Iron Man's relationship with Thanos was what made Thanos scary. That Iron Man was genuinely terrified of Thanos, and he was kind of the primary guy who the audience was supposed to relate with, where he goes, Thanos is coming, he was having panic attacks, he's like, he's going to end our worlds, and he was devoted to taking down Thanos. If you look back at that trilogy, it really wasn't the Avengers versus Thanos. It was primarily Tony Stark versus Thanos.
I'm really trying to figure out, like, what point was, like, Tony really dedicated to killing Thanos? It came up that, like, they were getting visions of each other, but that was, like, mid-fight. And then, like, for Endgame, like, he was ready to not, like, do anything with Thanos again. From his perspective, Thanos was dead. And where is he drawing this from?
Buddies. And we don't have that right now. We need a character who's really going to be the focal point of this phase.
I think it's weird because we've actually gotten way more Kang than we got of Thanos at this point. Like, do you want to compare how much of a menace Kang seems at the beginning of Phase 5? I guess the closest basis would be how much of a threat was Thanos at the beginning of Phase 2. And the answer is, we saw him grinning once, so not much of a threat. We've seen way more of Kang. And, I think he's shown himself to be at least a threat, and I'm interested to see more Avengers deal with him. And I think that's what this movie needs to do, and I think it succeeds on that metric at least.
And has a personal vendetta against Kang. Again, you could have made an Ant-Man. Like, if Kang had killed...
Yeah, attempting to be a reflection of the real world.
his daughter, or killed Hope, and now we have this personal vendetta against this guy, I feel like the conflict would be that much more exciting. But as of now, Kang is just a guy who kills a bunch of people we've never seen before. We're not afraid of him. We have...
I do think it's weird. These guys seem really caught up on, like, these villains need to, like, kill lots of people. And it's like, a good storyteller can draw us into a situation that's tense without necessarily killing people. And sometimes for the arc, like, for proper story arcs, depending on how you set up, yeah, you might have to have a character die. I thought they did a great job with Iron Man, for instance. But yeah, you can do a good story and not kill off characters. Like, is this like Game of Thrones brain where you're just thinking, oh, story is good because characters die? The characters dying in Game of Thrones definitely add a layer, but it's not like that's the only reason why that show was good.
have no relationship to him. I will say this, there's a little bit of...
Well, Whitney, yeah, the most we saw of Thanos in Phase 2 would be the first Guardians of the Galaxy, but we've seen more of Kang in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania than we saw of Thanos in even Guardians of the Galaxy.
Spoiler. This is a minor spoiler, but let's say Loki gets brought up in this movie. And as I was thinking about it, I saw, who should really be the focus of Phase 5 is Loki. Loki is the first person to encounter Kang. He's traveling around the multiverse, so he knows what the multiverse is, and he knows what Kang is capable of. I think if they made Loki the focus and made him the primary, rival to Kang and reformed him into a good guy, I think that would be fantastic.
Okay, but they already set up that looks like what they're doing for Loki season 2. This is an Ant-Man movie. Why are you proposing that Loki be the main protagonist in a fucking Ant-Man movie? What the fuck idea is that? Holy shit.
But then you're like, well, what do the other guys do? What does Thor do? What do the Thunderbolts do? I don't know how they're going to wrap this all together.
What the...
But ultimately, yeah, this movie, look, it's fine. It's fun. It's got fun action. It's got fun locations. But...
So you liked it. So in your review, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania stinks. Your final review is it's got fun locations and you enjoyed it. That's really deep, dude. That's not clickbaity at all. Well done.
In terms of like any emotional impact or any weight or gravitas, in terms of getting you excited, like, oh my God, I can't wait to see more of Phase 5. It doesn't do that because it doesn't build up anything. It feels like another filler movie with Dr.
Honestly, like, I am a bit more excited to see more Kang variants. It was even kind of a cool little thing. Like, we were watching the mid-credit scene, and like after the mid-credit scene, my son literally turned to me. He was like, "Oh my God, did you see all those Kangs? How are they going to deal with that many Kangs?" Like, he's excited to see more, and I'm definitely intrigued to see more too.
Doctor Strange and the Multiverses of Madness, we thought, oh, this is going to establish the multiverse. It was a filler movie. With Wanda, we thought, WandaVision. We thought, oh, this will establish what's going on in the Dark Realm, and the way all of this has been filler.
WandaVision set up Doctor Strange 2.
And this feels like more Marvel filler. When are you going to give us something that tells us what we're excited for? What is the big narrative push? All you told us is Kang's the bad guy.
Oh. Well, that's the thing. Like, we knew a lot less about Thanos at this stage in Phase 2. So, like, why is it okay then, but not okay here? This is so weird. It seems like what his argument seems to be is that, hey, I actually kind of enjoyed this movie, but I feel like they should set up Kang more. And it's like, but just judge the movie. Judge the fucking movie on its own merits. Please, for the love of God. That's what you're supposed to do when you review a movie. Holy crap.
Okay, but why? Make him scary. Have him do something. You're wasting my time. I don't know. I mean, look, I would say if I had to score this movie, if I was bringing a kid to this movie, absolutely 9 out of 10. I think little kids are gonna love this movie. But if you're like an adult or a teenager, whatever, somebody who's looking for something a little more with meat on its bones, you just don't get it here. There's nothing here. It's just, I'm Ant-Man. I protect my family. Ooh, I hope we escape from the Magic Underground world. It was a disappointment, to say the least. But guys,
God, that was just bad. I'm doing the noise thing again. But that was just bad reviewing. Just, like, he's essentially saying, hey, I enjoyed this movie, but it doesn't work in the grand scale of the universe. And I'm like, okay, like, if you want to say that, sure, but, like, that's not how you judge this movie. You judge the movie for what it is. And you could even maybe say, like, if you want to release a separate video saying, hey, here's my review of the MCU, I'm liking this stuff, but, like, it's not really making a full, complete story for me, that'd be one thing. But this is literally just a review for Ant-Man 3. Review Ant-Man 3, not the MCU as a greater whole. And even his arguments for the MCU as a greater whole don't really hold water, because then you just compare them to the first 3 phases, and it's like, well, we knew way less about Thanos than we know about Kang right now. Kang is established as way more a threat at this point than Thanos was at a similar point in the past 3 phases. So, what's your basis for comparison? This, not good. Not good.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.